So you've written your songs, you've hummed your melodies in the shower, maybe you've whispered your lyrics when no one else is listening. But sharing them, that feels terrifying. You're not alone. So many singer-songwriters keep their music tucked away, not because they don't care, but because it means so much. Ask me how I know. In this episode, we are exploring how to move from private creativity to confident expression. And I'll take you through 3 gentle stages to help you share your voice, even when it's scary. Welcome to Reawaken Your Voice. Are you tired of pushing aside your desire to sing, only for it to resurface again and again? Hey, I'm Lainey, voice and creativity coach, singer and songwriter. If you're ready to rediscover the freedom of creative expression, free from judgment, doubt, comparison, and fear, then grab that notebook full of ideas. It's time to give voice to the songs in your heart. Let's sing. Welcome back to the Vocal Breakthrough series. So over the past few episodes, we've been walking through this journey of rediscovering your voice and reconnecting to your body. Finding your rhythm as you weave in your singing and songwriting practice to your life. And we've even talked about finding that first little spark of your own song. And through each step, you've been invited to listen a little bit more deeply to yourself, to what sounds true within you. And maybe as you've been following along, you've been noticing these places where you still hold back. You know, there's that fear of being heard or not sounding good enough, or fear of what others may think, or maybe you're still comparing yourself to someone else, maybe someone else in your life who you see as the artist, the musician, the singer. They're the ones who get to do this thing. It's not for you. Oh, but it is for you. And that's what this series has been about, is gently opening up to reclaim that musical identity and grow your confidence in your voice. And now we are building the courage to open up and share it. Share what's in your heart through your voice, through your songs, through music. If it still feels so scary to think about sharing your voice, sharing your music, I want you to know that's completely normal. Sharing your voice, especially when it's personal, emotional, or there's a sense of newness to the experience. This is one of the most vulnerable things we can do. But it's also one of the most powerful. If you're feeling ready for some extra support to move through those fears, or you'd love that personalized guidance to bring your songs to life, I'd love to invite you into a vocal breakthrough session with me. This is a one-on-one creative coaching experience where we uncover what's holding you back and help you express your true voice with confidence. You can learn more and book your session at reawakenyourvoice.com/coaching. Now let's dive into this week's episode. This is guiding you through 3 gentle stages to share your voice with confidence. Now, if you've been around the podcast a while, you may have heard a bit about my journey. And without going too deep into it, I'll just say I've performed for audiences of thousands of people on stages of all sizes. I've been in vocal competitions where a panel of judges are literally critiquing my every note. I've been in auditions where I'm being assessed for whether or not I fit the part. I've performed in high pressure and low pressure environments, all alone with a piano accompanist and with a full orchestra backing me. My experience goes deep, and it stretches far and it stretches wide. But the hardest thing I've ever done is sing my own songs. Why? Why was that the hardest thing? Well, it's because it's deeply personal. It's not just my voice. It's my story, my creative expression, my intimate emotions. It's how I see the world. It's the inner workings of my heart put out there on a platter for all to see and judge. When we write a song, we're pulling from something within us that is raw truth. And up until then, it's something only we can see, feel, hear, touch, until we let it out through our voices in the form of a song. So believe me when I say, I know how terrifying it can be to share not only your voice, but your very own music. I used to physically shake when I sang for an audience. And little by little, I built up the courage to sing for thousands of people in the spotlight. There was a time when even recording and listening back to my own voice felt like it was impossible. There was just too much harsh criticism coming at me from inside my own head. And even in terms of songwriting, like the lyrics that I would write, being honest with myself, that was so challenging. Allowing myself to actually write the words I wanted to say without filtering it through the inner critic or worrying about how others may interpret those words. I'd record and listen back with that harsh ear of judgment, and it made me not even want to record. What's the point? I'm not going to listen to it because I can't handle it. I was there once. There was a time where it was difficult for me to allow others to hear my creative songwriting practice. My husband and I traveled extensively for the first part of our marriage before the little blessings of joy entered our lives. And so it was just he and I in all these places throughout the world. And in some of those places, I had my guitar with me. And it would just be he and I'd be writing songs. He'd be off doing his own thing, but he could hear me, And allowing him to hear my process as I wrote songs throughout our travels, that felt vulnerable and scary. He's my person, and it was so hard to let him hear the process of starting out really messy with just a little seed of an idea. It was so unpolished, and I was, adding filler words as space holders because I didn't know what was going to go there. But it felt vulnerable to allow him to hear how those ideas were shaped and formed into a song. But little by little, as I practiced, it actually started to be fun. He got to see that evolution. Even more throughout those travels, I'd be opening my voice in caves and echoey spaces where people were around. And that was another edge. You see, I keep kind of coming up on that edge and pushing a little bit beyond it, gently. I even recorded one of those clips of me singing in a cave, and then I posted that online, and that felt scary. There were campfires where people were singing, and I'd be swallowing that inner longing to join in because perfectionism and self-doubt overrode that desire. And it took all the courage I had to enter my voice into the flow and open up and join in. I remember my first gig with a full set list of my own songs. I was the background music for a private event, and that felt so good because that meant people were distracted. I wasn't the main event. I was not in the spotlight. It felt so much safer and less exposed. All eyes were not on me. So that was a safe way to start to sing my songs for other people, but in a way that felt accessible for me at the time. So all of these little snippets of stories, it all comes down to gently pushing those edges a little bit at a time, doing what feels comfortable, but then kind of pushing a little bit beyond that. Even now, as I learn music production and begin recording the rough demos of my songs, I'm faced with another layer of that vulnerability in opening them up to the wider world. So it's another layer. And that's what we do. We start where we are and we gently push a little bit further beyond that comfort zone. It's a process. It's a process. Here's how you begin. Now I'm going to share with you a framework that kind of follows the stories I've outlined for you in my evolution. It's this safe kind of step-by-step approach for singing your songs, little by little, expanding that comfort zone. It's this idea of gradual release. You're stretching beyond the edges a little bit at a time. It's kind of like setting up scaffolding, or I've used this analogy before. This is it's like dipping your toes into the swimming pool versus doing a running jump cannonball leap with a big old splash into the water, into the pool. Like, you can do that, but you don't have to. I've found that it's much more accessible and there's so much more ease in this gentle approach that I love to take. So I'll take you through these 3 gentle stages of sharing your voice. Stage 1, witness yourself. This is private reflection. You sing for yourself. You play for yourself. You maybe record a little bit and listen back. And in this stage, you're focusing on exploration, curiosity. It's more about emotional connection, not critique. So try recording something and listening back. Not with an ear of harsh, critical judgment, like I did for way too long, but with that ear for witnessing your own growth, for the act of actually witnessing yourself, being like, I did that, I sang that. That's one little step closer to sharing your voice. You're sharing it with yourself first, doing it for you. Stage 2, share in supportive spaces. This is a trusted audience, whether it's an audience of 1 or 5 or 10. You can share your voice with a mentor, a coach, a supportive friend, a small creative circle. That really helped me when I was sharing my songs in singing circles, in a creative community. It's a space where you are being encouraged and embraced, and you can feel the love all the way through. And it's unconditional. This is a practice in vulnerability. You can gain feedback if you're working with a mentor or a coach. You can be encouraged without judgment, but with love. Maybe it's a small, live, virtual sharing, like a Zoom circle. Those can be so powerful in that you get to be home in the comfort of your own space, but you're sharing your voice for people at the same time. I have a vision for this community in the future, but we'll see how it wants to be born. You can send a little voice note, a snippet of a sound recording to someone who you trust. But the idea here is to share your voice in a really supportive, nurturing space. And my vocal breakthrough sessions are the perfect opportunity for this. If you are looking for a way to share your voice, be encouraged, and have that nurturing environment to lift you up a little bit beyond that edge. Stage 3, public expression. This is sharing for a broader audience. So you're opening it up to a wider audience, the wider world, kind of beyond that trusted circle. So this could look like posting a song online, or performing for a small audience. Maybe you sing at an open mic. That's an excellent way to start dipping your toe in. And the emphasis is on courage here. This is an act of courage. It's a step beyond that comfort zone. And yet, it's still about growth. It's not about perfection. So every step that kind of stretches those edges and gets you a little bit more outside of where you feel comfortable, every step is developing your confidence. As you take that act of courage, you start to trust yourself more and build your confidence because you look back and you say, I did that. Well, if I can do that, I can do it again and again and again. And you keep building that confidence muscle. That kind of is what it's like. You celebrate every small step because these are personal milestones. Your public expression can look however you want it to look. It doesn't have to be this huge stage or sending out a recording into the webosphere. What's the word I'm looking for? It's not webosphere. But sending it out there for any and all ears throughout the world. It can be these little steps, that local open mic that's been on your heart. Maybe you've attended and listened and you have that longing in you. I should be up there. I want to do that. But the terror keeps you frozen in the audience instead of on the stage. Whatever your public expression looks like, that's your step to choose when you're ready. Because this isn't for validation. This is for liberation. Because the freedom you feel when you express yourself and allow yourself to be heard is like nothing else. There's something really special about it. It's a beautiful thing. But to get to that joyful connection, you have to push a little bit beyond those edges. So take a moment and reflect on, what is one song or melody or phrase that's been waiting inside of you to be heard. And when that comes to you, think about which of these 3 stages feels safe for you to start with. What's one small, brave way you could let your voice be heard this week? Maybe it's singing your song for someone close to you. Maybe it's posting a sound clip somewhere online, even if it's like a closed group. Maybe it's simply hitting record and listening back. Sometimes that can be the hardest step of all. We are our own worst inner critic, or our own worst critic. Wherever you are, that's your next step. If you've been hiding your voice, waiting for the perfect moment to share your music, let's make that moment now. And if you've been unsure how to start, my vocal breakthrough session is the answer. Start here. reawakenyourvoice.com/coaching. I'll also put that link in the description. Your voice deserves to be heard. And each step, no matter how small, each step is a victory. It's a personal milestone. So begin gently, grow steadily, and let your voice and your music be heard in your own time. Thanks for listening, friend. If this episode moved you or inspired you in some way, would you please leave a review on Apple Podcasts or share this episode with someone who's been praying for a vocal breakthrough? Until next time, keep nurturing that song in your heart. Lots of love.